Hello, everybody, and welcome to another RotoWire Online Championship live stream. I'm Eric Halterman, but more importantly, as this is the Beat Ryan Roof draft, he is Ryan Roof. Ryan, you are picking third in tonight's draft. You like picking third? If you had your choice, was this at top of your KDS or something that just fell to you?
Yeah, this was top of my KDS. I'm pretty happy with any of the top three going between Ohtani, Witt, or Judge. So whoever falls to me there, I'm pretty happy with, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Nice. Yeah, that'd probably be what I would be thinking as well. No consideration to Jose Ramirez at the number 3 spot. I've seen him go that early in a couple places, but
yeah, I did actually take him fourth over Elly De La Cruz and others in a draft champions recently. So probably not gonna take him third here over one of the quote unquote big three. But do love Jose. He's I'm a Guardians fan, so I'm a homer for Jose.
Right. Do you have a preference among that big three of Ohtani, Witt, and Judge? If you had your say of who was going to fall, who would it be?
Yeah, I think when we talked last for your draft, I mentioned I would take Ohtani over Judge and Witt if I had the choice. So we'll see, but I'm open to any of the three, and we'll just be flexible no matter who's there.
Sounds right to me. The latest RotoWire Roundtable rankings were out today, and me, Jeff Erickson, Clay Link, and Todd Zola, we came up with a tie for the number 1 overall pick. All three of those guys had a median rank of exactly 2. So I think picking third for exactly that reason is where you want to be, I would think.
Yeah, what I'm curious about is who's going to be there in the subsequent rounds. Round 2 and 3, pretty pivotal rounds. It's kind of those are going to be the rounds where I'm like, okay, it kind of depends on where the draft takes me, depending on who's there. So we'll see who's there.
Right. In a 12-team league like this, are you biasing towards starting hitter, or is this very much a we'll see who's there situation and you can't answer it just yet?
Yeah, I can't answer it yet until I see who's there with round 2. It's important to keep your draft options open. Thanks to friend Phil Dussault for that. So we'll try. We'll just be flexible and take what the draft gives me.
All right. Well, the draft should give you something in just a few minutes. We are about 30 seconds from Team 1 making their first pick here. And Ryan, you've had success in this format before, right? You know what you're doing in an online championship draft?
Yes. So I finished 10th overall with my friend Chris Hahn last year. So that was a good team. Finished top 15 2019, 2018. Can't remember which year it was. I'm very comfortable with this format. I think my average is just under 4, like 4 point something. So, and there goes Shohei Ohtani, number 1.
Yep, not unexpected there. I think we can guess it'll probably be Witt, number 2, but we'll find out. Oh, there you go. Are you going to make the expected pick?
Yes, and this is who I was kind of hoping would be there. Aaron Judge, obviously. Quickly take him here, number 3. Not waste really any time.
Nice. You're off to a better start than I was in my beat Eric Halterman last week, because I also started Aaron Judge, but I had to pay the number 1 pick for it. So I'd much rather be in your spot.
Just copying you, Eric.
Love to hear it. We got Elly De La Cruz going number 4. Be interesting to see if there's any real slide for Gunnar Henderson, dealing with minor injuries right now. Doesn't look like it's anything too serious, but a lot of 6-week absences due to oblique strains start out looking like this. So he's said to be turning the corner in recovery, so I'd imagine not much of a fall, but he'd already be gone probably by pick 5 in a lot of leagues, I would say.
Yeah. And he's could be like massive. I mean, whoever lands him in this draft could, if he does fall, I mean, that's potentially could pay off in a huge way. I mean, I know last year around online championship time, it was when the whole Ohtani interpreter scandal was happening, and there were some teams who finished highly in the overall who landed Ohtani and Judge on there to kind of start their online championship teams. So it could be something similar here in this case if Gunnar falls.
Well, he has not been picked in the first 6, although that tier of spots 4 through 8, I think, is generally fairly interchangeable. There's still Gunnar and Juan Soto left from that group, so not yet somebody we could say is falling too far. Oh, and there's Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll's been, I think, jumping up into this range as well. So what I described as a tier of 5 might be more of a tier of 6 going forward. Not sure.
Yeah, I think drafts are, at least online championships are pretty similar first round. I mean, there's really, I would say the top 12, 15 picks are all pretty much the same. Order of which towards the end may be a little bit different, but I wouldn't mind picking from the back half either. Actually, in my KDS, I think I had like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quickly after the top couple spots. So
is that because you like round 1, or is that because you like round 2 a lot, and getting 2 of those players who are in round 1 consideration in a 15-team league is pretty good in a 12-teamer?
Yeah, I think it's pretty appealing, to start your team like with, one of the power speed threats like J-Rod, Churio, etc., and then maybe pair him with someone like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who could be just in line for a monster season. Also, the stud pitchers, you just saw Paul Skeens go pick 11. Terrascooble probably going to come off the board in the next couple picks or so.
Yeah, we'll see if we get back-to-back. Could we get pocket aces here? Yeah, we did.
Oh, there it is
we
again.
Go.
Yeah, so Team 11 in your draft did the same thing.
Yeah, Team 11 in my draft followed up that pair with Logan Gilbert and went triple aces. We'll see if this draft's Team 11 is just as bold. But I guess it makes some sense. You got a lot of people this year just straight up fading all starting pitching in the first round. And then if you're someone who isn't, maybe you're likely to end up with both of them. It's a viable way to build your team. It dictates how you're spending your next several picks, certainly, but I think it's a viable enough strategy. People have won leagues that way.
Uncle Ted in the chat shouting out the Judge, his biggest bust this year.
Well, there you go. You've got a fan.
It's always fun to have your draft get shit on with your first pick. Thanks, Uncle Ted.
Didn't think you'd go wrong this early, but apparently. At least according to one person. So we got another 5 picks until you're up here. Team 12 got a really late one, Soto, there, going after Carroll, Henderson, Tatis, Guerrero, and Paul Skeens. A nice Juan Soto, Mookie Betts pairing.
Yeah, that's a nice pair. I like that.
So who are the top 5 left in ADP right now, with you being 5 picks away?
Let's see. ADP wise, we have Francisco Lindor, Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, Jarren Duran, Jazz Chisholm Jr.
All right. Well, Garrett Crochet just went off the board, and he's none of those guys. So if you like those 5 players, you'll definitely have at least one of them. And there's Zach Wheeler. And I imagine you're thinking about your round 2 and 3 picks here together in some fashion.
Yeah, for sure. For some reason, J-Rod is still showing up in my queue, and I'm afraid to refresh.
Yeah, try to pick him, see what happens. Yeah, he definitely went to pick 9 in the second round.
Yeah, familiar face, pick 9. I don't know if you're here, but hello.
Oh yeah, anybody
Not to
who is
reveal.
in Ryan's drafts, yeah, do please make yourself known in the chat, and we'll talk about your team as we go as well. And this is we got Nicholas here in the 12 spot. Looks like, who drafted Juan Soto, Mookie
He was
Betts.
in your
Pretty nice
draft.
start. Yeah, he was. Well, I would take that gift. You're up now, Ryan. Who you got for your second round pick?
Yeah, so my queue got pretty depleted. I was hoping Garrett Crochet would fall to me or Wheeler, and I was getting really excited that Lindor was right there. But I'm gonna take probably go. I mean, there's a lot of good options on the board, but I really like going with a stud catcher. And I think having 2 good catchers in this format is particularly important. So I'm gonna go ahead and draft William Contreras here.
All right, at 22 overall, that's right around his ADP, isn't it? Almost exactly. So the odds of him falling to you in round 3 weren't that high, probably. If you wanted a stud catcher, there's only really the one. So you got to grab him before the turn. Figuring there's probably good variety for you coming back here.
Right.
So what's the top of the ADP charts right now around this turn? You're 5 picks away here.
Yeah, so it looks
Bryce
like
Harper.
Bryce Harper just went. Jaron Durant's at the top of the queue. Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Ronald Acuna, Jackson Merrill. So,
and you're sitting there with
start there.
There's Jaron Durant. So you've started with a huge bat who doesn't run a ton, and then a catcher who runs a lot for a catcher, but doesn't run a lot for a player. So I imagine getting some speed might be one of your considerations here, although you do still have 27 picks after that. So it doesn't have to be the only consideration. Speed, maybe a pitcher, or do you just go with a big bat?
Yeah, it's I'm going to be pretty thrilled with whoever lands to me out of the top 3 on my queue. We'll see who shows up here.
All right, I will. You can give away the rest of your queue after your pick comes up here. There's Austin Riley. Was he on it?
Yes, he was definitely on it. Not within my top 3, but he was right outside the top 3. So.
Two more until your pick here. Team 2, who started with Bobby Witt and Bryce Harper. It's got one all-arounder and one slugger, so it has a lot of options open to them. You are up in 10 seconds and should have many good options still out there. Well, there's Trey Turner. So who do you got for your third pick, Ryan?
Yeah, Trey was one of my top 3. So since he's gone, I'm just going to go with my top pitcher that I have, which is Logan Gilbert.
All right, good start. So you have accepted being down in speed through 3 rounds, probably. But other than that, you got to be pretty happy with how things are sitting. Was this more or less how you would have pictured it?
Yeah, that's pretty ideal. And this, before every draft, I kind of map things out of, various options in each round just so I have a good idea where I'm going, especially kind of within the top 15 rounds. It's really kind of more important for me. But, once you get to the later stages of the draft, it's, going to end up cycling through most of those players anyway. I think last year's online championship team that finished well, I think they only kept Zach Neto on the team all year. I think we got him around. My buddy Chris and I got him in around like 25, 26 or so. So yeah, it's just, this start is very similar to how I had mapped it out. I wish I would have gotten Crochet or Wheeler in round 2, but pretty happy with how this is going so far.
Yeah, Crochet's price is going to be interesting to follow as we continue through draft season. I don't think he was the third starting pitcher on most people's boards earlier in the offseason, but I've seen him go ahead of Wheeler more than once. I've seen some smart drafters take that chance, and I could get behind it. If you're talking about a guy who's on the upswing of his career and looked like maybe the best pitcher in baseball during the good part of his season last year, I could see taking him over somebody who's still excellent in Wheeler, but who age is probably going to catch up to at some point. Would you have been on Wheeler first if both of those guys were still there, or do you like that Crochet jumping ahead of Wheeler here?
Yeah, I would have taken Crochet ahead of Wheeler, but I have him pretty close. Be again thrilled with either of them. I just think the upside with Crochet in terms of strikeouts is just really high and could lead the league in that category. And just being on a much better team. I mean, you think he spent most of the season last year on like the worst team in baseball, pretty like historically. So,
right.
Double-digit wins, great ratios, high strikeouts. Definitely a lot to like in with Crochet, and I think when it comes to the 15-team NFBC main event season, he's probably going to go closer to the back half of the first round, early round 2.
Yeah, I can see it. It certainly got the upside. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Garrett Crochet next year, if we're drafting him as the SP1, and if that's a real chance, makes sense to push him up the board. There goes Ronald Acuna at pick 33. Not on the late side for Acuna. If you were to be an Acuna drafter, I guess, do you think a league like this one, it's a 12-teamer, not a 15-teamer, but there's no injured list to stash him on for the early part of the year. Is this the format for him, or would you look to grab him somewhere else?
Yeah, for sure. And what Team Nime's doing is pretty incredible in terms of Tatis, J-Rod, and Acuna. So if it works out, I mean, that's just an outstanding start at a position that dries up pretty quickly towards the later half of the draft. So definitely liking what he's doing there.
We got another triple ace team out of the 11th spot. What do you think of that? Last week we had a Skeen Skubal Gilbert. This time it's Skeen Skubal Snell. You get behind that, or is that too much?
No, I like it. Like we were talking about in your draft, I really liked what Team 11 did with that same approach. And really, it just depends on the subsequent picks and what Team 11 did in your draft. I really liked. So we'll see what he follows up with. Yeah,
the only thing I don't like about it is that you've set your draft plan for the next 7-10 rounds or something. You have to get hitters. If there are good pitcher values that fall, you have to ignore them, and that can be a little bit tough, but you know what you're doing when you start out this way. As long as you understand that is part of what you're going to have to do the rest of the way, it can still work out, I think.
Yeah, there goes Josh Hader, first pick of the 4th round, pick 37. It's definitely a bummer to see him go that early. He's, would have been my top closer target.
He was the first closer off the board too, right? No Emmanuel Clase yet.
Yep. And shout out to Nicholas, who was in your draft and was the first to join this one, for sniping me on Hader at the other end.
Yeah. So you might look for a closer at one of these two, I would imagine, at round 4 or 5?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I might wait a little bit. I think in this format, I mean, you can find saves pretty easily after the trade deadline on the waiver wire in this format. So I don't prioritize saves in the online championship as much as I do in the draft champions draft and hold format, or even the main event. So.
Fair enough. So what is your ideal pitching staff then leaving the draft? Do you want to start with 7 starters, 2 relievers in your active roster and maybe a save spec on the bench, or do you go more relievers than that, or what?
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I want to have a 7-2 that I'm comfortable with. 7 starters, 2 closers. I will draft probably 3 or 4 relievers, just because that first week might need to play those relievers if the starters don't have an early matchup. But we'll see how the draft unfolds. There's a lot of guys I like really late too, reliever wise. So I mean, I might just actually just wait, wait till after like round 10 to draft my first closer. We'll see.
Right. As the reliever expert, part of that means the 25th through 40th best relievers out there better than most of your league mates. So you could try to use that knowledge, certainly. That would mean ignoring the early relievers, probably. So you're up in 3 picks, or 2 picks here. What will you be looking at? Who are the top guys on the board?
I was hoping Teoscar Hernandez would be there for me, but he went to Team 8 a few picks ago. So I'm actually going to have to look at my queue here and see what I'm going to do. My queue has been kind of depleted. So there goes Class A. I'm going to take Jacob deGrom here. I just think, again, like we were talking about with Team 9 taking Acuna, I think this is the format to take shots, and deGrom is going to be one of those players for me, at least in one of my OCs. So I think this is the spot to do it.
And is it the spot to do it maybe because you already had 1 starter, so that if you do get the terrible deGrom result where he gets hurt right away, well, at least you had a starter in the first 4 rounds?
Yeah, I think that makes me a little bit more comfortable. I know last year in the 4th round, I took Tyler Glasnow in my online championship that did well. And, he did well when he was healthy, but there came a point where he wasn't. So I mean, it's not like the be all end all if deGrom only pitches 120 innings, getting 120 elite innings if that's the case. So.
And do you think that the market is just too low on him generally, or do you think you just want to take a shot somewhere if you're a volume drafter who has a lot of leagues?
So for me, it's the latter.
Okay.
I have a bunch of NFBC leagues, and just took my first share of deGrom in my last, I think it was a main event qualifier, 15-team format with Fab. So came into this year knowing I wanted to get deGrom in 1 OC. Don't know if I'll do it in more than 1, but this is definitely the spot I'm willing to do it in.
All right. Well, you're up again in 2 picks here with 2 hitters and 2 pitchers. Well, you're up right now, so tell me what you're thinking about.
So Dylan Cease would have been my next pick, but he just went to Team 2, which is a bummer. Another rising player up draft boards I am considering, and I know he won't make it back. So I know he won't make it back in this room. So I am going to take Junior Caminero.
Ooh, all right. Junior Caminero at pick 51. Yeah, he was going to have to come all the way until pick 70 for you to have another shot at him. And he's somebody who I've been wondering just how fast he's going to rise. Well, quite far and quite fast. I think I saw him picked around this area in Glarf last, 8-10 days ago too. So some smart drafters are pushing Junior Caminero up pretty far. What is your outlook for him this season? What sort of age 21 campaign do you think Junior Caminero is capable of?
Yeah, I mean, I think his upside is really high. I mean, I think 40 home run bat is not out of the question. In doing so, I think it's important to get in this format 240 home run bats. So pairing him with Aaron Judge is kind of what I'm thinking there. Alonso was my other consideration. It was probably the safer choice to take Alonso instead of Caminero. Alonso went one pick right after. But I like some of the first baseman later in the draft, and I'm not as big of a fan of the third baseman that you can get later in the draft. So it's really a matter of position and where I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. One thing I like to think about with young players like Caminero is I still want to draft them somewhere where they can outperform their draft price. You don't want to pay full price for them, putting it all together right away. But I don't think you did, right? If Caminero puts it all together right away, isn't he like Rafael Devers or Austin Riley or somebody like that? There is still room for at least some profit here.
Exactly. And I think, people are moving Mark Vientos up drafts, as well, similar situation. If you looked at the projections early on, Vientos was his projection, I think, for just comparing Steamer, his projection was very similar to Austin Riley's, and, just going, 6 to 8 rounds later. So that's kind of the idea here with Caminero. I think he could potentially be a really quality power option, especially in the ballpark in Tampa Steinbrenner Field.
Right, true. That helps all of the Tampa bats. Had a comment here from Uncle Ted who doesn't like Caminero's 702 OPS against righties. I mean, that's fair, but Caminero's OPS in general wasn't that good, righties or lefties. Only 724 last year, but with Caminero, you're not paying for what he did last season. The whole point is we think he's going to get a whole lot better pretty soon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so tough with players in that category where they're going to be better than they were last year, but if he's only somewhat better, then he's a 10th round pick, and he still is a good young player who's trending in the right direction. Really tough, but if you want to catch these superstars, you got to pay up.
Yep.
So that does mean you're again taking a guy who's not going to run much. How heavily do you think you need to make up for that, and how quickly? Are we going to see you go steals heavy with, say, 3 or 4 of your next 5 picks, or is it too soon to worry too much about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the rest of the way it's going to be important for me to draft guys who at least steal some bases. Obviously, I'm behind the curve right now, but Judge isn't really a zero in that category. Neither is Contreras. William Contreras, there it is. Hopefully Caminero pitches in a handful, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm not too worried about speed yet. I think in terms of what you can find on the waiver wire, I think speed is a little bit more. You can find it a little bit easier than power on the waiver wire. I was fortunate enough last year to luck into Brent Rooker early on in the season. Realized power was a deficiency for our team, and kind of drafted him pretty cheaply in Fab. So we lucked into that, but definitely prioritizing power here. Got a little catcher run at the back half of the draft. Salvador Perez went at 5'11", Adley Rutschman 6'1", Wilson Contreras 6'2", Yanner Diaz 6'4". Surprised to see Diaz go 4th out of that group. Guess that's not like totally out of the question, but he's been drafted 2nd out of that group,
right?
In most drafts. So
yeah, I think if that group is going to go so close together, though, I'm happy to take whoever falls at the back of it. I don't think I need to grab a catcher from that range, but they're all pretty good. And if this is the price, how does this make you feel about your 2nd round William Contreras price now that you're seeing where the rest of them are going?
Yeah, I had figured this group would go in this range. I was actually hoping one of them would fall to me in this at pick 70 here. So there's just, I'm still fine with William Contreras. I think he's clearly the number 1 catcher, just from everything he contributes in all the categories. I think he was top like I saw a tweet today, he was top 3 in all the categories among catchers. So,
all right. Well, you are up in 3 picks. Why don't you give us the top 5 on the ADP board so that we know what you'll be choosing from?
Top 5 on the ADP board: Altuve, Albies, Yamamoto, Felix Bautista, Pablo Lopez, Kyle Schwarber's there, right there as well. So it'll be interesting to see who's there. I definitely have some thoughts. I might go a little out of. I might jump another guy. I've already kind of done that with DeGrom and Caminero. DeGrom, I meant to touch on that earlier. He's last week of online championships, he was going to pick 40 on average, so early 4th round. So we did jump him pretty early. So this pick's pretty easy for me. He made his spring training debut today, Felix Bautista. I think he's just a stud. Definitely want to get one good closer. I think this is he's definitely one I prefer over the rest of the group that comes behind him here. So I think he's a pretty clear choice for me.
All right. And was it just seeing him back on the mound that was enough? Because I think, if I remember right, he was a little bit lower on your closer rankings in the early offseason.
No, this is about where I had him.
Okay.
I think I had him ahead of Helsley in this round. I would have been thrilled if Iglesias made it. He was actually kind of who I was targeting, but he went earlier in this round to team 8. So yeah, this is about where I had Bautista in my rankings.
Fair enough. So you'll be coming back in a few picks here with 3 hitters and 3 pitchers. You feel like you can go any direction, or are you looking in only one particular area?
I feel like I can go in any direction here. This is kind of a weird spot for me where it's, I like some guys and then some guys I'm not in love with. It's really just kind of depending on who's there. So Westberg was one of the guys I was considering. I just like what he offers. Multi-position eligibility. I think the potential for 25 plus homers, 30 homers, and double-digit steals is there. So Matt McLean was another who just went. I was considering definitely the power speed aspect. Team 1 going all hitters for 7 picks now.
Wow.
Has yet to draft a pitcher.
Definitely an approach that's more attractive in a 12-team league, I would say, but I don't hate it. Just got to get the pitchers right. All right, you're up now. Who do you got?
See, Luis Robert. This is tough. So between 3 players, and a couple of them trying to figure out who's the best one to make it back to me next round. All right, so I don't think this player will make it back. So I'm going to take Spencer Schwellenbach.
All right, at 75 overall. So you've got a nice start to your pitching staff. Certainly, you're going to have one of the better ones through 7 rounds with Logan Gilbert, Jacob deGrom, Spencer Schwellenbach in your rotation, and then Felix Bautista. Comfortable starting out behind and hitting, I guess that would mean.
Yes. Yeah, I would say I'm pretty heavily focused on starters early on. I think it's important to get 3 ace level starters in this format. I don't know if Schwellenbach is that, but I think he's got a good as chance as any of the players going in this range to kind of elevate into that status. A lot of the guys who are kind of in this range, Michael King's kind of a round 6 player, Pablo Lopez, Shota Imanaga, Bailey Ober, Schwellenbach. I just think there's a lot to like with Schwellenbach. So,
yeah, young pitcher who pitches for a good team, showed a lot of things already last year. Get behind it.
Yeah, if Westberg or McLean were there, I would have taken either one of those players over Schwellenbach, but that wasn't the case. Teams 2-1 grabbed him ahead of me, so.
And that would have left you with 4 hitters. So are you pretty strongly leaning towards 2 hitters here? Or do you think a pitcher, for example, maybe a second closer is still in play in these next couple rounds?
Probably not going to go closer, but it really depends who's there. We're pretty far away from my pick. Still 12, 15, like 16 picks away. So could be a pretty depleted queue by the time it gets back to me, but we'll see.
Right. Taking a look around the rest of the league, any particularly notable builds? I mean, Team 11, the main one, starting pitcher, and then in their first 3 hitters, grabbing 3 catchers. That's interesting. Would you?
2 catchers.
2 catchers, that's what I meant. Sorry, 3 catchers would be really something. But they filled out both their catchers in their first 3 hitters. If you had started so pitcher heavy, would that affect your willingness to grab an early catcher at all, or no?
It wouldn't. No, I'm very pro catcher starter in this format. So it's just, again, it comes down to the players you can find on the waiver wire throughout the season. Starters and catchers are the ones that are the hardest to find. So I like what Team 11 is doing here. Technically, Salvador Perez, Wilson Contreras, who is expected to get first base eligibility, he could make them his first baseman and corner infield, respectively.
True.
Don't think that's his intention, but definitely has that flexibility here.
We'll see if they draft another catcher or 2. I would doubt it, but we'll find out. Team 10, who's up now, started with 4 hitters and then grabbed their 2 closers before grabbing any starting pitcher. We'll see if they grab a starter right here. Team 12 also doesn't have a starting pitcher. So you got a few teams who are going very hitter heavy in the early going.
Yeah, this is it's going to be interesting to see how they fill out the pitchers there. Joe Ryan just went to Team 10. Really like him this season.
There's Mike Trout at pick 83. So if you do like Mike Trout, there are still other people in a lot of leagues where somebody is going to get him within the top 100. You do still have to pay something of a real price for him.
Yeah, he would have been consideration for me in round 8 here, as ADP was in the last week of Online Championships, late round 9. So thought there was a chance he'd be there for me in the 8th round. So a little bit of a bummer. But again, this type of format to take shots, and if he gets hurt, you just drop him. But
Team 11 grabbing Ryan Walker, taking a break from their run of all hitters after starting triple starter. Do you like Ryan Walker if you've missed out on some of the more proven closers? I mean, he looked excellent last year, and he's got the job right now, right?
Yeah, I really do like him. He was the only reliever with double-digit wins, saves, and holds last year, I believe. I think he was the only one. And pitched a ton of innings. I think he had like 80-some innings, 79, something like that. So when you compare it to, most closers who, probably in the 65 to 75 range, he's got that, advantage of being able to go pitch a little bit longer. So
right.
I do like Walker a lot, yeah.
And you're not at all afraid of Camilo Duvall taking the job back?
It's definitely a possibility. I do have Duvall, I think, projected for 9 or 10 saves. So just kind of a hedging there a little bit, but just going to have to cut his whip down. He's walked so many guys, and
Right. Well, always interested in whoever's going at the back of these tiers of closers. Who are the next closers left if you were to grab your closer 2 in this next pair of rounds here?
Yeah, so by ADP, it's Yohan Duran, Robert Suarez. The next 2, Alexis Diaz, Tanner Scott, Lucas Urseg, just going by the NFBC draft room.
So Walker over Duran there.
Yep, which I'm aligned with. I think I would do the same. But I think Duran's like right behind him in ranking. So,
well, he may still be out there when you get to your next pick. I think of him and Andres Munoz similarly, 2 guys who are maybe top 5 relievers in all of baseball. It's just their teams don't use them quite as traditional closers, which makes them hard to value. They are definitely the top guys in their own bullpen, and they're really, really good. It's just you don't know exactly what that usage is going to be, if it's 18 saves or 30.
Yeah, there goes Shota Imanaga. Would have been under consideration for me if he made it to me. But
Kyle Schwarber going 4 rounds after Brent Rooker and Marcell Ozuna. That's a surprise to me, at least.
Yeah, that's a nice spot for him. Pick 92 overall. I think that's a really nice pick there. Team 5 though, batting average is looking risky in terms of stats. So we'll have to. So I'm on the clock. I'm going to take. I have a couple different ways I could go here. This is kind of tough. I think I'm going to take Christian Walker here. I was actually considering a pitcher just because the 2 guys on the turn have so few of them. I think they will both lean pitchers with their picks.
Yeah.
But first base is a position where it's like, I don't know, after Walker, it's kind of, there's a couple guys I like. I don't mind waiting on the position, but I think I'm just going to grab Walker here and get out of the way.
Nice. I like Christian Walker. Went to a nice park. This is about where he's been going. I think you have to grab him just inside the top 100 there. So yet again, another power first bat, but quite a good one. I like the pick. I like the value.
Yeah, it's be interesting. It's actually I have a lot of shares of Walker. I'm kind of hoping I didn't just. I did remind myself heading into this draft that I had a lot of exposure to him already. So, but he was on my worksheet here. He was the first person that stood out for me. So we'll see.
That's always one of the toughest calls to make. If you drafted him a lot, it's because you like him. And then he's there again, and you like him, and he's available. You don't want to turn him down. So I like still making that pick, but it is tough. All right, you're on deck here with a balanced roster and everything but steals so far, I would say.
Yep, fully cognizant of that need. Let's see. Oh, Jake Berger, interesting. So let me take a look here. All right. So I think one of the guys with the most speed upside, I think I'm going to have to pop right here, is Dylan Cruz on the team that runs the most. Yeah, I mean, I was eyeing like 5 or 6 players for that pick, but I did not think Cruz would make it back. His ADP in recent drafts here, 118, so like the latter half of round 10, but again, smart room, a lot of players in here I'm familiar with, so I don't think Cruz would have made it back.
Yeah, latter half of round 10. could still be right before your pick. So that would have been really too bad if he was near the top of your queue and you thought you might be able to get him and you missed by a pick or two. So, like,
yeah, nothing worse than getting
games.
sniped,
Yeah. All right, so you got a while until your next pick. Time to reassess for a second. How's it all looking? Is this close to what you would have hoped for through 8 rounds? Or was it, sorry, 9 rounds?
Yeah, it's exactly kind of how I had planned it out. I think I haven't had a situation yet where it's gotten to me and I've had to scramble, which is always good. It's always, every pick has been kind of part of the plan thus far. So now we get into the trickier rounds where it's, it's more difficult. But interesting to see Bo Bichette go here, pick 103. It's definitely somebody I was eyeing, had kind of pegged for as a target for upcoming rounds, but he's not going to make it to me. So,
yeah, are you on a bounce back, or you just think the price is fine where he doesn't even need to bounce back that much?
Yeah, I want to. I don't have any shares yet. I mean, I would like to take a shot in one draft. I was hoping that would be this one, but yeah. It'll be interesting because it's contract year. I mean, he has run before. I think his kind of value is tied to like how many steals is he going to get. I think we all know he can hit. I think just last year was just such a anomaly for him. We know what he's capable of, and so when in a contract type year, I wonder if he kind of puts the wheels on, similar to what some others did heading into this year.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable chance to take as long as the price doesn't get too high, and I don't think it is. I guess there's some worry that he's, in the middle of a Tim Anderson sort of career arc, somebody who's pretty good across the board, but then they lose a little bit of everything all at the same time, and they go from pretty good across the board to, wow, there's not much there in any area. But it would be really young for that to be happening for Bo Bichette. He's just 26 years old.
Exactly, yeah. So guy I've landed a lot lately. He just went at the end of round 12, Logan Webb. I've just been landing on him a ton in drafts, just as a SP3, SP4. I just think he's just he's not like sexy, but he's just one of those guys that's consistently 200 plus innings, double-digit wins, decent ratios. I know his whip last year wasn't as good as prior years, but I like what Team 12 did there. Ober, Webb, Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray was another pitcher on my list, so another one off the board.
Yeah, Webb is something of a pitcher of extremes for where he goes in the draft, and that he's really not much of a strikeout guy compared to the other pitchers who go this early, but he's just incredibly durable, going to give you so much reliability, so many innings. There's definitely teams that are going to need him more than others, but I think a team that waited so long, like Team 12 here, to get its ace, makes sense to just lock up a lot of totally fine, pretty good quality innings with your SP2.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the clock in another draft, drafting Holmes, so making that pick really quick. Don't want to hold up the draft. When we were live streaming the other night, it was I had definitely gone on auto in one of my DCs in the later stages. How the clock cuts in half post round 30. So
right. What round are you in that one?
That one's round 40. I just took Jacob Milton as my 9th outfielder.
Doubt you're going to get to him today, but we'll see.
Yeah, unlikely. So up in 4 picks here, let me see if I have a queue. Yeah, so I'm pretty comfortable with the top players in my queue.
Yeah, who is the top of the ADP charts here with 3 picks left before yours?
So ADP wise, we have Marcus Semien, Will Smith, Hunter Green, who you took in yours,
Right.
Freddie Peralta, Christian Yelich. That's just, again, that's not recent online championships. That is just who's at the top of the NFBC draft room.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're up now. Who do you got? You were sniped?
So I think, with Jacob deGrom, it's tough to take a pick, take another risk along with Spencer Strider, but I was definitely considering it there. Don't think he would have made it back to me in round 11, just because Team 1 is, especially with Team 1 being so pitching deficient. So I think I'm going to take a pitcher here. It's where I was leaning. Bybee was on my list. I'm going to go. Oh, earbuds falling out. Don't have any shares of Freddie Peralta. Could go Hunter Green, but I think Peralta is where I'm leaning.
All right, Freddie Peralta it is as your, SP4? Pretty good SP4.
Yes. There goes Hunter Green. Will Smith went pick right after me. He was one person I was considering, but there weren't many starters left around this range that I liked other than Peralta, so I leaned the pitcher, knowing Team 1's need was pitching, which is why I really like kind of drafting. That's why I like drafting like towards the ends, not at the ends, but towards the ends, because you can make more informed decisions on what positions those players need. You can just make better educated guesses on what will make it back to you. So like Team 3, Gallon was another one, just went right before me. So pick 123 here on the clock. I just have to check a few things really quickly.
Yeah, what are we thinking about?
I could lean. There's a lot of different ways I could lean here. There's a lot of great players I like. It's making this pick really tough.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to take Ezekiel Tovar.
Nice.
Kind of a desperate. This was kind of the first situation where it's been kind of a desperate pick. There was a lot of guys I liked in my queue. Tovar was just one of them that, just really like what he offers. Shortstop. Uncle Ted saying Betty takes Semien.
Yeah, was Semien under consideration there?
He was not. Second base is so deep. I don't think. I think that'll probably be the last position I fill.
Yeah, I guess especially in a 12, right? Second base has nobody early. It's just Ketel Marte, and then you got Albies and Altuve a little later, but they go much later than the second and third player at most positions. But there are just so many second basemen who are fine, right? Whether that's the Bryson Stott, Andres Jimenez tier, there's just a whole bunch of guys who will get you 12 to 15 homers, 25 to 30 steals, and a fine batting average. If you want somebody who's just going to round out your roster and not hurt you, it's pretty easy to find one of those, I think, at second base.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So definitely a different approach for me, at least, as my first shares of Peralta. I think might be my first or second share of Tovar. So definitely not who I'm used to grabbing around this range, but definitely thought it was important to grab another starter at that turn.
Yeah. So what is your position balance looking like at the moment? Where are you on all the different infield spots?
Everything is filled except for second base and my second catcher. And then I have 3 outfielders to fill, obviously the middle corner and util. So we'll see what makes it back. Jeff Hoffman just went to Team 7. I like that Tanner Scott in round 10, Jeff Hoffman round 11, kind of double tap. Scott's interesting. He could, finish with 30 plus saves, or it could be less than 20. But he's definitely skilled enough to, get 30 plus on a great team.
Right. And the Dodgers should win so many games that Scott doesn't even need to be a true closer, a true traditional closer to justify his price, I don't think.
Yeah. All right, so let me reload my queue since it's depleting.
Yeah.
It's another benefit of kind of picking on the ends is you have time to kind of recalibrate. I think that the advantage picking in the middle, like 6, 5 through 8 there is you kind of just get whatever values kind of fall.
Right.
For the players like me who kind of jump, DeGrom and Caminero ahead of ADP, you get some fallers as a result, but just having this time to be able to reset between picks is helpful.
Yeah, I think I like right where you are. As you mentioned, being not at the end, but right near the end. I think I like being 2 spots from the end is really great. Just because of what you were talking about earlier. If you're in a position where, well, I think I need a hitter and a pitcher, but there's only one hitter who I view as a similar tier, and there's 4 pitchers who are all pretty similar. I guess I'll just take the hitter first. You could do that if you're near the end, whereas if you're in the middle of the draft, very real chance that all 4 of those players will be gone, and it makes your decision making a lot harder.
Yeah. So turn here went Kodai Senga, Jared Jones, Sandy Alcantara, Robbie Ray, 4 in a row. Definitely a lot of upside with all 4 of those pitchers. Jones and Alcantara are 2 I would have been eyeing in this round. Actually, looking at my notes, I actually had them for the last round where I kind of went a little bit scattered and took Tovar.
Right.
But
yeah, are you regretting that yet?
Is
there anything else that's happened in this round or no?
Not really. I mean, I like Tovar, so it's not like he was a pick I did have him kind of pegged for that round as well. It's just wondering if I should have taken the starter, but
right.
Alcantara's looked good this spring, velo wise.
Yeah,
will be, the only I think downfall is will they kind of monitor his innings at all? And it's just a shitty team he plays on, but
yeah, I think if you were not an Alcantara fan like me, I was not one before his injury because he was priced like an ace and he didn't strike batters out like an ace. So he, required a different team build. You had to accept the fact that you were behind in strikeouts, but hopefully ahead in other areas. I didn't love that from my ace just because strikeouts are the most predictable category. But Alcantara is not priced anything like an ace these days. So if you were a fan, I think you've got to love where he's going right now. And if you were not a fan like me, it's probably time to reassess that because, if he's anywhere close to the Sandy Alcantara we've seen, you can get him in this part of the draft. You don't need to worry about the fact that he's not an elite strikeout guy. There's plenty of guys this range of the draft who aren't elite strikeout guys.
Right. Funny thing about the OCs is it's just there's so many good players. Like it just reloaded my queue and it's just like I could take any of these guys. Matt Chapman went to Team 9. Definitely a value compared to where he's going. He just went pick 136. I think that's excellent value for Zach and Team 9. I'm
Not
sorry,
bad
Zach,
there,
if you wanted to remain anonymous, my bad, I just outed you.
Only the first name, I think.
Yeah.
We'll assume it's Zach Greinke.
Yeah, Joe G14 for Joe G414 asking in the chat, will you post the final board when complete? Yes, we will.
How's it going, Joe? Thanks for joining us. So you're up in 4 picks here? What's on your mind? You can go a lot of different directions. You managed to stay fairly balanced.
Yeah, still cognizant of the need for speed, but I have a couple different ways I could go here, and I'm not sure how it's going to lose. So Real Muto just went. He was on the list. Now that he's gone, I'm probably pivoting away from catcher.
All right, well, you're on deck. Pivoting away from catcher. You could go speed, but you don't have to since you got some speed with your last couple picks. You could go with the closer, one of these two, but you don't have to.
I'm just checking my my sheet real quick. Let me know when it's my pick.
Just within 20 seconds.
So I do SGP valuations in mine. I don't use it as gospel, but I use it as a guide.
Right.
So I'm just kind of seeing which players are values on my sheet relative to where we're at in the draft.
Well, you're up now. So who are you thinking?
Actually, I have to see where this player's at really quick. I think I'm going to lean with another bat here. Probably going to lean Randy Arozarena. I don't love it just because of the park, but he's just been so consistent. 2020 to the last, I think, 4 years or so. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I like it. Should get you some of everything, right? And the price is not nearly as high as it was in previous years.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot for him in general. I wasn't necessarily targeting him, but given the need for stolen bases, I mean, he was one guy certainly kind of stood out relative to who was available here. So,
right. So you feeling like you're back caught up on speed, or are you still feeling like you're a little behind?
I could probably still use some speed. Definitely still be targeting it with my next couple hitter picks, but again, it just depends on who's there.
Sounds right to me. And you are, you're allowed to be worse in one category. And if you are going to be trailing in one category, speed's the one to do it, right? All the other categories on the offensive side are correlated with each other. So much rather have a slight weakness in speed, but be happy with where I'm at everywhere else than have a slight weakness in, say, home runs, because home runs get you batting average and runs and RBI all together.
Right. So a couple different ways I could go here.
Yeah, what are we thinking?
So this is another player I'm going to jump like way ahead of ADP, but it's one of those where it's like I don't know if he'll make it back. His ADP is in the last week of online championships is round 15, so I'm a couple rounds early, but I think in terms of speed upside, he has got some of the highest. So I'll go with Victor Robles.
Nice. Call up DVR from 5 or 6 years ago. Let him know. Victor Robles is a target again, early round 13. But, I like it. I've been targeting him some this year as well. Seems like he's going to play a lot. And if he's going to play a lot, he's going to run a lot, right? There's no real worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume he's going to run a lot. I mean, if he doesn't, I'd be shocked. But
I guess the only way he doesn't run is if his bat falls apart and he can't play, right? And I think that he took the steps forward. I like that pick a lot. It's weird when a player's been straight up bad for so long to actually put your faith in him. But is this even putting your faith in a guy? You picked him in round 13, so even if that's a little bit
I mean, I think it's
ADP.
Yeah, and he's not really, I'm looking at my SGP sheet. He's not really necessarily a value compared to where I picked him. I think on my sheet, he was kind of in the early 200s. But just the way I've been drafting, again, intentionally focusing on power early, I definitely wanted to balance that out a bit with guys who can hit some home runs and steal some bases, 20 plus. And Cruz, it could, potentially lead the league just because Washington runs so much. But now I think I'm pretty caught up in the category with the Robles pick.
Right, especially with Robles being something of a specialist. He gave you much less in terms of power and RBI than probably other people's 13th round picks will be getting them. So, but you can afford to do that, right? This is when you start with Aaron Judge, it affects the rest of your draft. You're going to project for 10, 15 more homers than pretty much anybody else after round one. And it really puts you in a place that nobody else in the room is going to be in.
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to be cognizant of with the picks moving forward is batting average. I have a nice base with Judge and Contreras, but Caminero, don't really know what we're getting there. Could be a 280 hitter or a 240 hitter. Walker, similarly. Cruz probably not going to be a batting average asset. Tovar might be, but Rosarina and Robles probably hit under 250. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. So team 8 went Justin Martinez, round 13 here, pick 152. That's bummer. He was my target on the next round.
Yeah, I like Justin Martinez a lot. He's got just such classic closer repertoire, right? The guy throws triple-digit sinker. Maybe that's even more than a classic closer repertoire. The guy misses a ton of bats, and whoever does hit it, they pound it straight into the ground. Got some control issues, but, if he didn't, he'd be going way earlier. So if you want a young, flawed pitcher who looks like he could be closing games for a long time to come, you get him at a discount too, because the Diamondbacks haven't officially named him the closer. AJ Puck is in the mix. How confident are you, though, that Martinez will be the guy?
I'm fairly confident. I think what I was waiting to see was if they, would sign Kirby Yates when he was, still a free agent, and the fact that they didn't, and I think speaks to their confidence in Martinez, not dismissing AJ Puck or Kevin Ginkel as good options, because they are. I just think Martinez kind of leads that group.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. He went one spot ahead of David Bednar, who also isn't guaranteed to be the closer. How are you reading that situation in Pittsburgh? Is it just Pirates need him to prove that he's healthy, or do you think there's real reason to worry here?
I think he's the guy. I mean, there's no one else there that can reliably close. Let's be honest. I mean, this is just a kind of formality of saying this. I think it's just, as soon as he shows he's healthy and is performing adequately, I think he's very clearly the closer.
Would you take him ahead of Martinez, or you like Martinez ahead of Bednar there?
I forget where I have them in my rankings. I think it's pretty close.
Okay.
My lean right now, just without seeing my rankings, because it's been a while since I've looked at them. I know they're within a couple spots of each other. I think I might have Bednar ahead, but my lean now is Martinez. We might see him jump Bednar in the next update in a few weeks.
All right, fair enough. taking a look at what some of those other teams are doing. Team 11 is, again, that really interesting build I've been tracking here, starting with 3 aces. I wonder if they didn't hitting quite hard enough. I wonder if I might have stayed even longer on the hitting side before grabbing my SP4 and 5, just given that, again, you had 3 starting pitchers this team before most teams even have 1. They went hitter with 6 out of the next 7, but 2 of them are catchers, and one of them's Mike Trout, and 2 of them are guys who don't really offer any real power at all in Stephen Kwan and Xavier Edwards. I wonder if they're at risk of falling off the rails here, but maybe it's going to come together.
Yeah, I do like what Team 11 did in your draft more than what Team 11's doing here. The top of the draft I love through round 7 or even through round 8. Quan I like just because he's a guardian, he's awesome, but I don't like the last 2 picks. I don't think Steer is healthy. He's not somebody would consider drafting. He's off my board. Josh Young, we're not really sure what we're going to get. I haven't planted him yet. I'm not opposed to drafting him, but the last 2 picks are certainly risky, and not to say I haven't made risky picks as well. I have, but those 2 guys in this range, I think these are this is kind of the range of the draft that kind of makes you stand out, and a lot of times it's the old and boring guys who are just accumulators who are important in this range of the draft.
Like that Nick Castellanos for Team 8 in there.
For sure, yeah. He was somebody I was eyeing this round. So,
all right, you're up in 4 picks? Who are some of the top names on the ADP board that you're theoretically looking at?
I will get to that in 1 second because I'm rearranging my queue.
Or you could just read off your whole queue in case anybody in your league is drafting right before you.
Yeah, I can't do that because I know there's some folks in the chat who are probably actively listening. But
yeah, if you are in Ryan's league, come make yourself known. We will.
Okay.
Say
so the guy
nicer things about your team. Oh, here you go. Who you got?
So bummed that Christopher Sanchez went because he was one of my top targets for this round. But the guy I was considering last round, and I wasn't sure would make it back, is my second closer, Mr. Kenley Jansen.
Nice. Yeah, how do you have him in comparison to some of those closers who just went? Would you have taken him over Martinez and Bednar, or was he an option you're pivoting to now that they're gone?
Yeah, now that they're gone, I'm pivoting to Jansen. I do think he's got a good shot at 30 saves. Innings wise, he won't pitch a ton of innings, but most of his appearance will probably be a save opportunity. And he's so close to number 3 on all-time saves leaderboard. I think he's 31 saves behind Lee Smith. So not sure he gets there this year, but knowing, again, Team 1, who just took Alexis Diaz at the turn, did not have closer, was a big influence of why I took him there.
True. Well, you're up again. So who we're looking at?
That was a quick turn.
Yeah.
A couple different ways I could go here. I think I'm going to jump this person just because I think I need average. And I think he gives it at a position you don't generally get it. So I'm going to take Gabriel Moreno.
All right. You've got your catchers finished up then. Was that something of a goal? It sounded like you did not like the catchers on the wire, even in leagues of this size. So.
Yeah, I like to have 2 strong catchers. I just think Moreno's, we haven't really seen like what he can do has even come close to his upside yet. I mean, I think he's just such a strong hitter. When he was with I think he was still with the Blue Jays at the time. They were in the playoffs and he was just smoking the ball. Hit like, I don't know, 2 or 3 home runs in the playoffs that year, just in the playoffs, like one series. So I know he has the power. OPS has been great. Average has been great. So it's just a matter of can he get there. But in relation to this build, comes down to what my needs are, and I think average is just eyeballing. I'm not tracking stats or categories or anything for this draft, just because we are live streaming and that'd be too difficult to do that. But just eyeballing my team, the last several picks are kind of average risk, so I wanted to balance that with somebody who was not at a position where it's tough to get batting average from. So now I have 2 batting average assets at the catcher position. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable there.
Is that a stat tracking that's typically part of your process? What do you typically do for that? Are you just using your own projections and some sort of homemade spreadsheet, or are you using something else?
So I don't use I don't generally track stats in fast drafts. For me it's just too overwhelming. So I don't do it. And in DCs, I generally do it through the first half of the draft, just to kind of see where I'm at relative to other teams. I don't know if it generally, I don't know. I think I'm kind of moving away a little bit from relying on projections so heavily, because it's been such a big part of my process the past couple of years. I think I'm taking the more of the Baseball HQ, Mayberry method, Ron Chandler Babs approach, just kind of looking at the assets of each player. Because it's so hard to nail down projections. It's just, I don't know if that exercise is really worth it, but I'm still doing it as part of my process, still aggregating several different projection sets and putting them into an SGP sheet, just to kind of see where the values lie relative to the market. But
it's one of those things where you don't want to trick yourself with a false sense of precision that isn't there. But if you're not looking at projections, then it really feels like you're flying blind.
Right. My computer battery is low. That's not good.
Oh, no. Well, do you need me to vamp for a bit while you go find a charger?
No, I think it says I'm plugged in. I'm not sure why it's dwindling. It's weird.
Well, this is the exciting part of live drafting that you don't normally get to see on a draft stream, the mid-draft tech troubles. Yeah. But we're bringing the viewers. Yeah, we're bringing the viewers a full range of experiences here. This is what it's really like. If you've never tried a RotoWire Online Championship before, this is the most exciting part when your computer breaks in round 15.
Yeah, so I would have pivoted to my phone, but not something ideal. I generally draft from my phone for all my draft champions 50-round draft and holds, but that's something I'm keen on doing for fast drafts. This is like my first fast draft of the year. So
I tend to be mostly on slow ones until right around March. I think I've only done about 2 or 3 of the faster ones. I just like that the pace of the slow drafts. I like having always some pick to make within the next 8 hours or so, the first few months of the off season.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty, once late January, early February hits, I'm pretty much in drafts every single day. So it's just such a fun time of year.
Speaking of in drafts, I'm apparently holding up my TGFBI draft right now while doing this stream. Maybe I'll figure out what I should do there in round 3.
Yeah, you better.
Top of my board is all pitchers, but I already got a Paul Skeens, so I don't think I can do that.
Oh, but you can. You can.
I don't know if I want 2 starters in the first 3 rounds. So you've got 5 picks until you're up here?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go.
Yeah, we're at an interesting part of the draft. Things are fairly set. You've figured out what your team's strengths and weaknesses are. You can tell where your remaining holes are. Position-wise,
Zach
you
Neto just went.
Just
that
went.
was he was somebody I was eyeing ahead of schedule in his rehab. 2020 potential. So it's a bummer to see him go off the board.
Position-wise, it's really just second base that you have a hole at, and then obviously some quarter, middle, end of your outfield, that sort of thing. But you've got 2 closers, you've got 2 catchers. Good question,
I don't know.
Billy, in the chat. This is a league without trading, so that definitely affects what you're looking for. Can't just go for value over everything.
Yep.
What were you thinking about here?
No, it's Neto is definitely at the top of my list, so it's a bummer that he went. So I'm gonna have to figure out which direction I'm gonna go. I think we're at round 16. I don't love it, but it's tough to find players with a decent whip at this stage of the draft. So I'm going to take Zach Eflin. I think I'm going to lean Eflin here.
As your SP5.
Yeah, I don't love it. It's not somebody I'm like targeting per se, but it's definitely one of the starters I had kind of in this range that if I needed a starter, it's kind of where I would go.
Yeah, he's solid. He should be dependable, reliable, good whip guy, as you mentioned. He had some injury concerns when he was a Philly, but those have kind of gone away the last couple of years, and it was just knee, not elbow or shoulder. So I'm still penalizing him in my head as a Phillies fan, having lived through that and seen it. And I could be wrong there. I think that there's every chance that Zach Eflin has just reached boring but capable rotation filler stage of his career, and I'm missing out.
Someone in the chat of the draft was trying to get a pick reversed from a long time ago, and
that's
the
tough.
Moderator was like, "No, it's too far back. You can't do that."
Yeah, they're usually pretty good if you do catch it right away. But here you go. Are you going to make a pick that you're about to request be taken back, or do you know what you're doing?
No, I'm going to lean another starter here, but I'm trying to figure out which one I want to take. I think, let me just look at ADP and see who might have a chance of coming back. All right, I'm going to take you, Darvish.
All right, so you got SP5 and 6 out of the way there. Your pitching staff is nearly done. Only one more starting pitcher, and you're through 17 rounds. But I imagine that's something you're pretty comfortable with. It seemed like you were leading a little pitcher heavy early, and you think that you'll be able to get acceptable hitters still in the rounds 18 through 24 range.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a ton of hitters, towards the back half of the draft that I'm definitely comfortable with. I'll probably take my second baseman after round 20. There's just a lot of just solid guys, that have plenty of upside. So definitely take another couple relievers. Just don't know when.
We got a comment
I'm
in the
looking where
chat
I'm at
here.
right now. I think, yep.
I was going to say, we got a comment in the chat here. Team 6 is goofy. What do you think about Team 6 here? They started with 3 corner infielders in the first 4 picks. Jose Ramirez, Freddie Freeman, and Rafael Devers, with Zach Wheeler in there. And then got their SP2, 3, 4, 5 in the next 4 rounds. Really pitcher heavy early Do you think it's a build that's coming together all right, or do you think they went a little bit too far?
So I actually like this team, except for the closers. I'm not a fan of McGill or Fairbanks for saves this year. So otherwise, I actually like it. Did wait till around 16 to draft outfield. I'm not sure I would have waited that long. Probably would have prioritized outfield a little bit earlier, but actually, his team is pretty solid otherwise.
Yeah, I guess if you're waiting at closer, you're going to have to get some shaky options. But if he got options that you personally liked more, like say maybe a Jeff Hoffman instead of Trevor McGill, if that's when you'd be on, or, well, there's not a lot. After round 15, I guess Jordan Romano over Pete Fairbanks or Carlos Estevez over Pete Fairbanks would have been some of the other options there.
Yeah, and Team 2 double tapped Romano and Estevez at this turn that just went. So,
I mean, they could get 2 locked in full closers there, right? I mean, that's not far from guaranteed with both of them. But if Jordan Romano is healthy, he's the caliber of pitcher who could convince the Phillies to not go with the committee. And Carlos Estevez, if he's healthy, I think that he's probably just the closer in Kansas City, right? There's a chance they got 2 of the last true closers on the entire board.
yeah, I think Royals just came out. We just had a note on it on the site about Urseg. Royals plan to use him in the highest leverage spots in 2025, whether that be in the 9th or 7th inning. And Rodgers MLB.com reported that. So, I don't know. I might skew his save projection up a little bit, given that's the case. I would lean Estevez still as kind of like the primary save tier, but it might be closer to like a 55% save share for Estevez, as opposed to I think I might have him for 60 or 65% right now of the save share. So.
Fair enough. I guess I had been reading that as a positive update for Estevez that Urseg's going to be used earlier in the game. But if they say high leverage, sometimes that high leverage is the 9th inning. So might have slightly misinterpreted that one.
Yeah, I think you could look at it both ways. I mean, that's, it all depends on like where the toughest pockets of the lineup are. And I think it's pretty clear Urseg's the most talented reliever in that pen. I mean, no, Estevez has been really good the past couple of years. Nothing against him, but I think just in terms of upside and I think Urseg is the clear kind of preferred option there.
All right. So we just had a pair of third basemen go to Team 12 who didn't have one yet. That makes some sense. You got third base out of the way early with Caminero. Second base is the only position you still need, and you do still need it after grabbing a couple pitchers last time. And there's some second basemen going off the board. Who are the top 5 or 6 left in ADP in terms of second basemen?
So we have Nico Horner, Brandon Lau, Gleyber Torres, Willie Castro, Colt Keith, Brandon Donovan, Christopher Morel, Jake Cronenworth, Christian Campbell. I mean, I like all those guys. So
yeah, pretty healthy number of pretty fine options.
I'm just going to wait till the last one we're down to the last couple and kind of go there. I would have considered Jonathan India if he made it to this round, but he went to pick 11.
All right. So you got another 5 or 6 picks here. What sort of things are you thinking about at this stage of the draft?
So let's see, where are we at? Round 18. I have to update my queue real quick. I mean, really, it's just coming down to the players I really like. I don't know. There's a bunch in this range that I really like, so it could just come down to, who I think can make it back to me in the next round, each pick. Definitely want a couple more outfielders. Definitely need the corners and middles. still a lot of solid corners left.
Mm-hmm.
So I might actually lean in that direction.
All right, well, you're on deck here. We had another second baseman in Gleyber Torres go off the board, as well as Tommy Edman, who I guess could theoretically pick up second base eligibility at some point this year, depending on where he's used. All right, you are now up.
Goldschmidt. So I got sniped on Goldschmidt. He was actually the player I was considering there. That stinks. Brinkman. Thanks for that. It's so weird. I guess I'll go with another. I guess I'll go with Yandy Diaz here. It's so funny.
You said you were chasing batting average a little bit. That makes some sense, right?
Yeah, like Yandy Diaz is so jacked. Like he could hit like 40 bombs if he just could hit the ball off the ground. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. We thought we might be seeing it a few years ago. I think that's gone away. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be expecting anything but a very good batting average and some runs and RBI, but he should give you those, right?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of, I would say more so runs. I don't know. I think there's some sneaky power potential in the new stadium. I don't know. We'll see but he came in as a value on my sheet. Both him and Goldschmidt were values for me. So I think getting either of them in the early 200s is a nice buy.
And that fills your corner spot.
Yeah.
You still have second and middle and fifth outfielder and util?
Yes.
And 2 pitching spots, both of which will probably be starting pitchers.
I think I just have 1 pitching spot left.
Oh. You're right. Yep.
So I'm going to lean another pitcher here. I'm very I want a lot of pitchers on my team. I like to stream for my bench, so I like to get a good, solid SP7. Again, not a sexy player, but Jose Barrios has just been solid. Past several years, decent whip, ERA in the 3.5, 3.6 range, double-digit wins in each of the, 1, 2, 3, 7 out of the last 8 years. So in terms of innings, he has them. The tough matchups against he's in a nightmare division, but don't have to play him all the time against the Yankees or Orioles or even Red Sox.
Yeah, I like it. Important to make sure you got enough innings. Even in a 12-team league, you do still need to make sure you've got solid pitchers all the way down. You leaned pretty solid and a little boring with the last 3, probably. Eflin, Darvish, and Barrios. But that probably just gives you the baseline from where you can make a few more exciting high ceiling, low floor picks in the reserve rounds with the rest of your starters. And if you're going to get the solid ones first, it makes sense to get the solid ones in rounds 15 through 18 and take the chances in the 20 rounds. So I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I like to take some risks, right? Like I think Caminero, taking him at pick 51 overall is definitely risky. I consider Dylan Cruz a risk at pick 99 too. It's just, sophomore season, he could theoretically just stink. And then Victor Robles as well, pick 147. I think, balancing some of that risk I took earlier in the draft with some of these old boring guys, especially on the pitching side, I think you just need those old and boring guys just to kind of slot in when the matchups are favorable. And that was my intention all along, was by this point of the draft to have my 9 starting or 9 pitching slots filled in. So.
All right. So for that plan to work, you're going to have to make sure you find hitters you like in rounds 20 through 23, especially to get those last 4 starting spots. But in a 12-team league, there are still pretty good hitters going this range of the draft. So do you think you're definitely going to go hitter, or are you somebody who's open to starting your bench before you complete your active roster?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. It depends on what pitchers are there in the upcoming rounds. I'm not opposed to taking more pitchers coming up. There's several I like, so it's a possibility. But yeah, I don't really pay too close attention to starting my bench before all the starting quote unquote positions are complete. I don't really put too much stock into that. So
yeah, it's often a time where you can get a little bit of value if the players in rounds 21 are kind of the same as the players in round 28 in a given position. Then just wait until round 28.
Yeah, and again, out of these last 10 picks or so, 11 picks I'm about to make, I mean, I'm going to churn through probably most of them. So at some point in the season, so I'm not, too concerned, but I would say, maybe 4 or 5 picks will be pitchers coming up still.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Again, I just like to have pitching on my bench. Liam Hendricks just went to Herbstman at pick 12 and around 19, pick 228 overall. I really like that. He would have been one I would have considered coming back around.
Yeah, team 12 went Josh Hader as their first closer back in round 4, and then waited all the way until the end of round 19 here to grab closer 2. But if Liam Hendricks does win the job, pretty good pair.
Yeah, so compared to last week or so of online championship drafts, this room has definitely prioritized pitching relative to where they're going ADP-wise in the last week or so. Most of the picks in the last 10 rounds or so are pitchers generally.
Right. Which means that if you're going pitcher heavy early, you're competing against fewer players for those remaining decent hitters. So you might actually be pretty well positioned these next 5 rounds or so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple players I really liked that kind of went. I would have liked to take a shot on Clay Holmes, who went middle of last round. Drew Rasmussen was another one who went recently. Jesus Luzardo, another one, kind of like the high upside type player in this format that I really like to take shots on. So a lot of the starters I would have been targeting in this range. Definitely been scooped up.
Right, but that was the choice. Oh, go ahead.
I was actually trying to look. So actually, Ryan Presley, he went at right after me in round 19. Trying to see where he went. I guess it is pretty similar to where he was going in recent ADPs. Generally, early round 18. But yeah, and when it comes to so Young-Hoo Lee would have been my target in this round. Bummed that he went. I was debating whether or not I should take him in last round over Jose Barrios, but I didn't think Barrios would make it back, and I thought Lee had a good shot to make it back. So outfielder 5 will have to wait.
Right. Are you looking for an average heavy bat like that still, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's a negative to have, several high average bats. The last couple of drafts are Yandy and Gabriel Marino. So I would have loved to add Young-Hoo Lee there, but not.
Well, you're up in 2 picks here. Yeah, you're up in 2 picks. You want to talk us through what you're looking at?
So let's see. We still need a second baseman. There's a couple high average ones I really like. Probably, I don't know if I should go there yet.
Well, you're up now.
I guess I'm going to go with... I'm still picking. Don't know.
You got a full minute. Well, you got 20 more seconds.
Yeah, so now I'm kind of stumped on which direction to go. Again, this format is just so cool. There's just so many players I like. I'm going to lean towards somebody I think will gain additional eligibility. Just take Colt Keith here.
Right, see, second and third already, and we'll be gaining first.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I probably could have waited, but I did have him kind of on my list for around this range. And now that Lee went off the board, I think this is kind of just where draft is taking me.
Right. Do you think you'll need another second baseman before too long just because you waited this long to get a first? Or if you leave the draft with only Colt Keith and then waivers, is that fine?
I think that's fine. I think there'll be plenty decent ones on waivers that are available. So,
all right. Well, you're up again here. What you got?
All right. So let's see. Garrett Mitchell's intriguing to me. He just went. Definitely somebody I would have been interested in.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
So I kind of want some power upside here. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, I guess this is probably a player I'll drop, but power-wise, I mean, 30-plus homers is within realm of possibility, so I'm going to take Max Muncy.
Yeah, Max Muncy, man, he falls really far compared to some recent seasons, and that's just because nobody trusts his durability anymore? Is everybody scared of his batting average? He can still really hit the ball hard, and he still plays for a very good team that's going to help him maximize his runs and RBI.
Yeah, I think in terms of RBI, I mean, the upside is there. I mean, he's kind of on a trend of like every opposite season. If you go back to 2019, it was 35 homers, 98 RBIs, 101 runs. And then the next season was the COVID season, so it was short. Then the year after that, 36 homers, 94 RBIs, 95 runs. Then a down year and the even year, still solid, 21 homers, 69 RBIs. 2023, 36 homers, 105 RBIs, 95 runs. So, I mean, he's not far removed from that type of line. So, Again, I think it's difficult to find power. And that's something I want to target, this late in the draft. I mean, I would have been looking at Mountcastle was kind of another one I would have had my eye on. I mean, I definitely prefer Muncy to Hoskins, who went the round before. Brandon Lau would have been actually somebody targeting for power at second base. I just kind of leaned Keith because I think he'll give that extra eligibility. If he plays first base, and I have two that aren't the greatest in terms of durability. I mean, they're not like super high risk first baseman, but Christian Walker, Yandy Diaz have missed time before. So having someone else who could potentially slot into that first base spot is a plus.
Yeah, definitely based on their age, that makes sense. I guess Lau with Colt Keith would have given you, a pretty good backup second baseman to make up for the fact that you had a poor starting second baseman. But as you mentioned just a minute or two ago, you don't care too much about that.
Yeah, I mean, there will be plenty on waivers that I think will be fine. I mean, we'll see who gets taken this next several rounds, but there's some decent like rookie second baseman who could potentially not get drafted and be a week 1 or 2 big fab pickup.
Right. Christian Moore or somebody like that.
Exactly, yeah.
He may end up getting drafted very late. He's the type of player somebody might want to take a chance on, but second baseman, that's a position where guys get opportunities.
That's definitely in Zach's wheelhouse for the late rounds, so I wouldn't be surprised if he leaned there.
You know multiple of the other drafters in this league. We've hidden their names on the draft board, but you're aware of multiple other league mates here?
So I don't recognize anybody but Zach, who's Team 9. He's the only one I've drafted with before, but I might have. Team 4 seems familiar. I'd probably have drafted with him several times, but I don't recognize anybody else.
All right. Well, again, if any of the rest of you are in this draft, come say hi. We do have Team 12, Nicholas Herbsman, here in the chat. You want to take a quick look at Team 12's team, Ryan? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I really like what he did. Soto, Betts, O'Neill, Cruz, and then, like I said, he kind of sniped me on Hader, Ozuna, Adley, Santander. I mean, he should have plenty of homers, with that core. And then he went 5 straight starting pitchers. Again, several of them, Webb, Sonny Gray, Jared Jones, Alcantara, were guys I was targeting. So, yeah, I like what he's doing. He just took Nico Horner, who was somebody I would have looked to back up Colt Keith with. Arguably you could have made a case for taking Horner over Keith, but
yeah, just got a Bowden Francis as well. Interesting. I like that Ivan Herrera pick too. But mostly I just like the overall build. If you're going to start with no starting pitchers through 7 rounds, you better catch up in pitching quickly and going 5 in a row. I think that's the right amount. I don't think that's too many. I think you want at least probably 4 if you don't have any in the first 7 rounds. You want to get 4 in the next 5 or so. I think I like how Nicholas rounded out the team there.
Yeah. Max Scherzer just went to Team 11. He was at the top of my queue for this round.
Interesting. Willing to go back with yet another starter, even though you still have how many hitting positions unfilled?
Just 2.
Okay.
The 5th outfield and middle.
Yeah. I think you should be open to it. I think that, as you mentioned earlier, you don't have to fill those active spots first. For myself, when I do things like that, usually it's just waiting on the second catcher, but you really ought to feel free to wait on any position. You just need to leave the 30 rounds with a team you like. You don't need to leave 23 rounds with a team you like.
Yeah, exactly. And again, so much turnover, so many good players available on Fab that can easily step in. And, I think an important element of this format is streaming, looking at opportunities to stream where, one of your players has a 2-game Monday through Thursday. You can pick up a guy with a 4-game week instead. And it's just really picking up those extra plate appearances, identifying those spots, really kind of separate yourself. Team 9 just went Roman Anthony, somebody I would have looked at a little bit later, a few rounds later.
Yeah, good shot to take this part of the draft. At this point, are you pretty much throwing ADP out? I mean, we're in the last 10 rounds. You just got to get your guy, top of your board. Who cares? He'll probably come back next round, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't really care at this point, to be honest.
When did you flip that switch? Was it several rounds ago already, or is it right around now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking at ADP just to kind of get an idea of who could potentially make it back, but in subsequent rounds. But yeah, I'm not really too concerned with ADP at this point.
Fair enough. Well, you're up next. You're up now, actually. Who you got?
Good question.
Well, you've got 40 seconds to come up with an answer.
Yeah, I think of course my spreadsheet is lagging as I try to access it.
Yeah, nice.
All right, I'm going to take my fifth outfielder. I'm going to go with George Springer. I just think, he's 35-ish or 34, 35 years old now, but I mean, there's still potential there for double-digit homers and steals. Don't know if he'll be leading off, but Springer's been somebody I've just been a huge fan of fantasy-wise forever. So at this point, I mean, it's already, round 21 is usually his ADP, so a couple of rounds past ADP.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, he's got injury issues, sure, but in the round 20-something in a 12-team league, if those injuries pop up early, you just cut him, right? You're fine.
Yeah. Seems odd, right? Saying that, like round 20-something George Springer.
Yeah.
Remember when he was like round one guy at one point?
Right. Well, you're up again. Who is your round 23 pick here?
I have to search for him. Guess I'm going to go Brendan Donovan. Again, not sexy, but second in outfield, gives that position eligibility, fills the middle that I need. Doesn't kill you in average. I mean, doesn't really have a ton of power, but he had 14 homers last year, had some steals. Probably the best offensive player on the Cardinals, besides maybe Mason Wynn, or I don't know if Arenado is considered the top offensive option in St. Louis right now. He just went the pick right after.
Funny enough. I don't even know. Well, another solid batting average help guy there. You've yet to really pop a really high ceiling, low floor guy on either the hitting or the pitching side, I would say. Is that fair? Certainly in these last, some people would have started doing that in round 20, rounds 15, somewhere around there. You still are making sure you're getting some solid players. Is that deliberate, or is that just how it's fallen?
Yeah, that's pretty deliberate. I think there's still plenty of opportunity for some high upside players in the last few rounds here. Like super high upside guys, I don't know, but Carlos Correa was just went Team 9. Definitely somebody I was thinking about there.
Yeah, I'm a Correa fan this year. I think the price is crazy cheap. I don't think he's that different from a Bo Bichette, a 4-category outfielder who gets hurt too much. Correa gets hurt more, sure, but what's the gap between those two in this league? Where did Bichette go? Bichette in round 9, Correa in round 23. Yeah. I mean, if I want a shortstop who's not going to run and I don't feel confident he's going to stay in the field, but I think he's a good hitter, I'd much rather have Correa in round 23, but maybe I'm on an island there, given how big that gap is.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. That's a good actually comparison there. I think that's really fair. It's just weird, like, how Correa and Springer, were such high picks at one point. Now they're sitting here in the 20s.
Yeah, and maybe Correa gets hurt right away, but anybody you pick in the 20s in a 12-team league, you're okay dropping for somebody fairly interesting off the wire. So if that does happen, I think you're in fine shape. So we've got the final pick of the active rounds there, Connor Norby. And then Bubba Chandler, let's say there's some upside. That's what I'm talking about. This part of the draft, you start seeing guys like Bubba Chandler. How many of your bench picks do you think are going to be of that type? That's my question for you. You want just like one?
Maybe one. Yeah, I think Chandler was at the top of that list for me. I think spends most of his time in the majors. So, yeah, that was a good pick there.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Nice upside shot this late. I think, that's the type of shots you want to take. And, if it's looking like he's not going to play for a while, then you just kind of cut bait. You have to be I think it's important. You have to be willing to cut bait on players like that, though, and not just hold them all years. If he's, dealing with a minor injury or something for a while, and it's going to delay his debut. It's actually being willing to drop him and churn him. I think that was my biggest problem in this format a long time ago. Was I would just hold players too long.
Mm-hmm. Just based on norms from other formats, so you just applying 15-team logic, and the replacement level is just higher here.
Right. So it's really it's tough when I think last year at one point it was, I was dropping Barrios, who was my, 12th round pick last year, and it's coming to grips of actually being comfortable dropping him.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like
just
being
a different
willing
mindset.
to drop. Yeah, being willing to drop based on a lot of the things you're saying about, making sure you're streaming, making sure you're optimizing the very end of your roster. You can only do that if you're willing to cut guys. And I guess that's probably one reason to not take some of these injury-prone guys we're talking about, because if you're trying to create space on your bench, you have to be cutting your injured players. And if you drafted Max Muncy thinking you're going to ride out the injury, then you're in a tough spot.
Yeah. Willie Castro just went. He would have been interesting, 4 positions of eligibility there. And definitely helpful early on in the season as, lineups are settling and whatnot.
Yeah, got to get as many extra positions as you can. How are you on your eligibility right now? Or we can take a look at that after your next pick, because you're about to be up in 30 seconds.
Oh, I got sniped again. I was going to take Merrill Kelly.
Oof.
That's 2 straight rounds. Damn. Yeah, Blanco is another person I was considering. So Goldschmidt, Blanco, and Merrill Kelly. Brinkman has it out for me today.
Wow. And you're not even giving the game away on this stream here.
Yeah. Okay, so again, a lot of different ways it could go. Still a lot of solid just players in general. I think I'm going to go with Lucas Giolito here. It's probably one of those kind of upside shots you were taking. I mean, not as exciting as a rookie like Bubba Chandler, but in terms of a strikeout upside, he's definitely got it.
Yeah,
definitely love the team. He's on in terms of pitching.
Just right, he's been throwing this spring. Yeah, he's got a Grapefruit League start scheduled for mid-March, so it seems like he's working his way back. Seems like things are going more or less fine, right?
Yeah. He's apparently penciled into the rotation to start the year, so.
All right, you're up in one more pick again at this turn. Are you still needing one hitter spot, or are you full now?
I'm full. Still want to pick up a couple for sure from the bench.
Right.
leaning towards one of them being an outfielder, possibly middle infielders. I do have Brendan Donovan, who qualifies the outfield in my middle spot. So,
well, you're up now. Who you got?
I am going to take I think this is kind of like the upside play, I think. Just seeing. Could theoretically wait here. I'm going to take Jason Adam as my third reliever.
Interesting one there. Are you thinking there's a real chance Robert Suarez just gets dealt, or are you thinking Jason Adams, somebody you'll use as your ninth pitcher in weeks where you don't like all your starters?
Both. Yeah, I just don't think Robert Suarez is good. I think there's a high possibility he's going to get traded. I've been touting Adams since my, initial closer rankings, and I continue to draft him. So, been he's a whip asset. He pitches a ton of innings. Should come by plenty of wins since he's pitching high leverage, even if he's not closing games. So, this was kind of the round I had pegged for Adam, and then I just kind of preferred him to a couple of the other high upside relievers in this range. So,
are you at all worried about Jeremiah Estrada taking the job instead, or are you pretty sure it's Adam?
I would be surprised if it wasn't Adam, to be honest. Okay. It's Estrada's certainly capable, but I don't know why they wouldn't use Adam. I don't think Estrada's, I don't know if he's reached arbitration yet, but I mean, the contract is Jason Adams got the contract already, so I would assume they would just go there. Looking on the Padres contract page right now to see. Nothing is populating. I'm looking at Baseball Reference and it's not populating.
Jason Adams' contract?
No, I was trying to find Estrada's contract. I think he's still pre-arb. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't think he's definitely hasn't signed an extension or anything like that. He is ARB eligible next season, is Jeremiah Estrada.
Yeah, so these last couple of rounds, I mean, I'm definitely going to pick up a couple of hitters, but I think these next, 3 picks are probably going to be pitchers. Just to kind of make sure I get the guys I want, assuming they're there.
Mm-hmm. And that would leave you with only 1, maybe 2 hitters on the bench?
Yeah, I think I'd like 2 hitters. Again, just still a ton of just solid guys available on the hitting side. Right. It's just so weird seeing these names here. I'm just so used to draft champion season where it's none of these guys are left by this round.
Right.
So.
And as you've already mentioned, people are going to be going pitcher heavy on the bench. So if there's 10 hitters you still like, they may all, you'll still have some of them available in the last couple of rounds, most likely.
Yeah. Well, if you're still along for the ride in the chat and in the stream, appreciate you tuning in. This is, again, the first time I've had the opportunity to do a live stream while drafting. So it's a new experience for me, and glad to have Eric here to help monitor things and keep my head straight.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It was a new experience for me last week, and definitely one or two picks that I feel like I might have done differently if I was not also trying to hang out with everybody, but that's okay. It was definitely fun, and I think most of the picks ended up being just fine. Any picks so far that you regret? You don't have to blame the fact that you're trying to chat with everybody for it. You could just blame yourself, but you could blame us if you want.
No, I'm pretty happy with my team. I think
wow.
I think the rounds 20 through 24 or 20 through 23 picks where I took Colt, Keith, Muncie, Springer, and Donovan. I mean, again, it's not like super exciting, those picks. I think they kind of just fit the need, but they could have gone different ways. Like, again, I'm thinking, with Colt Keith, I could have gone Brandon Lauer, Nico Horner there. Springer, I'm fine with. Muncie, I'm fine with. But again, just not, standout exciting players at this point.
Right. Yeah, you could still try to sneak in one or two of those on your bench. There's still time.
Yeah. Sean Murphy just got hurt, out 6 to 8 weeks, just went. I was wondering if he was going to get drafted.
Yeah, it's a tough one because you're probably going to have to draft a third catcher and sit with one on your bench for a month or so. But when he comes back, you might get Sean Murphy.
Yeah. So this one's a little interesting. I'm between two guys. I don't want to take both of them. So kind of like on the high upside variety. I think I'm going to lean Dustin May with this pick. Just when, I know he hasn't pitched a ton of innings, but just when he's healthy, he just has been so good in terms of flake ratios and strikeout upside. So seems like he's healthy right now. Should have a rotation spot early on. So I know the innings will probably be limited. I'll probably have to drop him at some point, but
what 26th round pick aren't you going to have to drop, right?
Yeah. I mean, last year it was Zach Neto. I didn't have to drop him. I think it was the 26th.
But like you said, you dropped your 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 probably, right? So
yeah. So JJ Bleday just went, I got sniped on him. He was in my queue.
Is this your time to grab a bench hitter, or are you sticking on the pitching side?
No, I have a bunch of pitchers in my queue. I'm just trying to decide if I want to go upside again or go with a boring guy.
I vote upside, but I'm here to entertain the crowd. I'm not here to play out the team, so.
I mean, there's a ton of old, boring guys available. All right, I'll go.
It is a 12.
I'll do the upside for you, just because you requested it.
Give the people what they want. I like that pick, Max Meyer. I mean, we all really liked Max Meyer a few years ago, and then he got hurt, and then we liked him at the start of last year. But, the first year back isn't always that smooth, and it wasn't that smooth. That's why he's still available in the 27th round, and the reports seem to be good in camp. So I like that Max Meyer pick quite a lot. I think you'll find out through his first two starts of the regular season whether or not you got a steal or you got somebody you're cutting right away, and that's totally fine. I think really you want your answers to come early too with these late round chances. And someone like him, where again you're just going to know did he figure it out over the offseason? Did he take some steps forward and he's going to be the pitcher we wanted to see? I mean, maybe he struggles early and you cut him and then he comes good mid-season, but I think there's a pretty good chance he either has the stuff working again or he doesn't, and you'll know in April.
Yeah, so the guy I was weighing the decision again went right after that pick, Justin Verlander.
Another young guy with upside.
Yeah, young 42-year-old there. Again, not too far removed from, decent fantasy viable season.
Yeah.
It's just can he get back to that and stay healthy in doing so? I think that's the question.
But it's so cheap. I mean, if you're going to get him in the 310s, sure, why not?
Right.
I like that Chris Bubich pick there in round 27.
Yep, he was also one of the top 3, along with Max Meyer and Justin Verlander, who I was considering. So
I like a lot of Team 7's starters late in the draft here. Pretty much everyone I see on the screen right now. Where do they start with? They started Crochet and Reagans, Grayson Rodriguez. Then they waited a while. Mackenzie Gore, Nick Pivetta, both Holmes, Tobias Myers, Jose Soriano. And then I like the Ryan Weathers. I think there's something there maybe with Ryan Weathers. Another one of those where you'll probably find out pretty early if there isn't, and then you can cut him. So I like a lot of what Team 7's doing with their pitching staff.
I agree. He was basically living in my queue. Gore, Pivetta, both Holmes, all players I was targeting. So I was especially bummed about Pivetta in round 16. He was who I wanted in that round. Theoretically could have waited on Gabriel Moreno the round before, possibly. Maybe he wouldn't have made it back because there were a couple catchers that went after him, but that would have pushed me to the Ryan Jeffers, Connor Wong, Ivan Herrera range, where I just would have waited for someone like Drake Baldwin, who's probably steps into the catcher one. I know with your last pick, you had taken a catcher with upside.
Yeah, well, I'll probably cut. I think it was Adrian Del Castillo. I'll probably end up having to cut him, but I think it was worth doing. It looks like we have Team 7 here, so good luck to Dread Pirate Roberts, the famous fictional character is in our league here.
No luck to you, because you took all my guys, so pleasure having you in the league. Thanks for joining.
Talking up the Jonathan Aranda pick too.
Yeah, I know that could work out really well in Steinbrenner Field.
Trevor Williams, I don't mind that either. So you're a few spots away here, and you have 3 picks left. In terms of positions or categories or anything like that, what do you think you need in your final 3? 1 hitter, 2 pitchers? Is it a starter and a reliever?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to see who's there because some of the guys in my queue are coming off the board. Nolan Shenwell was one I was eyeing. Gerard Encarnacion went at the later stages of round 11. So on the hitting side, I know there's definitely some players I still like. But some I'm actually still surprised they're available, but I think I'm just shooting for upside here with this pick, and it's an easy drop if he doesn't break camp with the team. Chandler Simpson.
Yeah, super interesting one. Let's talk about him a bit more. Chandler Simpson is somebody who I believe he only hit a single home run in the minors last year, and it was inside the Parker. But he stole 104 bases. Now, he didn't reach above AA, though, so it's probably a long shot that he breaks camp. Are you just cutting him if he doesn't? Is it just a very simple binary option here where if he's on the Rays, he's going to steal 70 bases for you and you want him, and if he's not on the team on opening day, he's gone?
I don't know yet. I think I might. He's the type of player I might hold for like a couple weeks just to see. I would probably rather churn either the Max Meyer or Giolito or May picks or one of these next 2 picks I'm about to make. But I think in terms of you think of Esteury Ruiz several years ago. I mean, he was going in the top 10, 15 rounds, if I remember correctly. So similar profile, but better batting average, just as much stolen base upside. I think this is the type of player, again, you kind of have to balance the lack of power with, other guys on your team. He's probably not an every week player unless you have the power to compensate for that. But
true, and if he does make the Rays, it will take some time to figure out how exactly they're using him, right? Who knows with the Rays? They often will use a guy 4 times a week or something, but a lot of
yeah, I'm sure he would hit like 9th in that lineup.
Right.
But I mean, he can get you like 4 steals in the game. So
right.
You don't necessarily have to start him for the full week. You can start him on a Monday through Thursday or a Friday through Sunday. And
well, Team 12 likes the pick. Nicholas Herbstman was going to make Chandler Simpson his 30th rounder, so you got him just in time.
Yep, sorry, Herbstman. Not today. All right, so I'm going to go back to old and boring pitching here. I'm going to go... Trying to think who I want here. Do I need more strikeout upside or more ratio upside?
Well, this stage of the draft, it's hard to find reliable ratio upside, so I'm curious who you'll pick if it's that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to take Chris Bassett. Again, boring, but I think with the Dustin May, Max Meyer picks, even Giolito, I think it's just I need a starter that I know for sure is going to have a spot. So,
and you'll probably be happy to use most of his starts, even in a 12-teamer, unless he just gets old. I mean, there's some risk that he's just old, but I don't hate it this time of draft at all. All right, so you've got 1 pick left. And
yeah, Luke Raley is an oversight. He's actually somebody that was on my list for like the mid-20s that I just overlooked. So that's a bummer. I would have taken him over Chandler Simpson if I had realized he was still available.
Well, he's not going to steal 100 bases, so maybe you'll end up with the right pick.
This is true.
Do you think you'll be going hitter or pitcher with your final pick here?
Probably a hitter. Again, it took more risk on the pitching, like bench pitching, than I would have liked. You kind of talked me into that.
My bad.
Although, if I had taken Verlander or Bubic over Max Meyer, I mean, I don't necessarily think I could say I would be that much more comfortable with my pitching depth, but let's see. Could probably use a middle. I'm looking pretty solid at corner.
Yeah, what's your total number of guys eligible for each infield spot right now? Do you try to make sure you leave the draft with 2? It sounded like maybe not, based on what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's not like super important to me. I do prefer that, but it's just like it depends on the players I have at corner and middle. And right now, I think middle is where I'm probably the weakest. Tovar, I think at shortstop is pretty reliable. I don't think he'll probably come out of my lineup as long as he's healthy. But between Colt Keith and Brendan Donovan at second and middle, respectively, it's like, I don't know. Again, it's not like sexy, so might look to draft a middle here. But
right, Tovar is the only shortstop eligible player you have.
He is, yeah. Currently,
but I guess he's no risk of losing playing time or anything like that. So there'd be some risk that he's just not great, but there's pretty much no world where you need to take him out of your lineup. So you don't need a second shortstop unless he gets hurt. Yeah. And at this point, what's the difference between around 30 shortstop and the shortstop on waivers? So it's not something you have to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, there's several pitchers I still like that are available. It's going to be tough to just pass on those guys.
Right.
But recognizing kind of the need. I don't know. I mean, I could go outfield too, but I do have 2 backup outfielders in the event. Can move Brendan Donovan there. If Chandler Simpson makes the roster, I could use him. But
Right.
yeah, I think I have to go like middle here.
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of middle infielders I like, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Which
so deep.
Could make a case for just leaving them all on waivers and dropping Simpson for one of them. Or you could just grab your favorite now.
Yeah. I could draft, Christian Moore, Hai-Song Kim, or one of those Colson Montgomerys of the world. But I think I'm all upsided out.
Yeah. Fair enough. You got your Simpson and your pitchers for sure.
Yeah, Trevor Story went last round. He would have been a solid target here. I'm surprised he's going so late.
All right. Well, you're 3 picks away. Thank you to Team 7 here, Dread Pirate Roberts. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Good luck. I think we already complimented you enough on your team. I think you're going to give Ryan a run for his money here. Who are you rounding out your draft with, though, Ryan?
Team 12 took 3 Guardians to close out the draft. Joey Cantillo, Chase DeLauder, John Kenzie Noel.
Wow.
I think those are all solid picks. I would love to see Chase DeLauder break camp with the Guardians.
Yeah.
But not sure that will happen. I'm considering a Guardian here myself. I'm just debating between him and another player with a little bit more batting average. So not exciting, but going to take. I think this is who I'm going to take. Yeah. Isaiah Kiner Falefa.
All right. Well, he qualifies for a lot of spots and was going to play. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of players in my queue I wanted, but I just kind of set myself up where I needed the middle.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's going to wrap up your draft. We got 45 seconds until the draft is all done. Any final thoughts, Ryan? How do you think it went? Is this better or worse than you would have expected heading in?
So rounds 1 through 20 went about as expected. Rounds 21 through 30. There's a couple targets I had in there, like Jason Adam, Lucas Giolito, definitely being some of them. Chandler Simpson was an intentional target of mine, but some of the other picks, again, just I'm not in love with, but again, just recognizing the fact I'll probably churn through these guys frequently throughout the season. So I just went with IKF just because, the 3 positions gives me some flexibility for the start of the season in case anything happens between now and then. And I think I picked them up last year's to stream a few spots, but Brian Rocchio is the other guy I was considering.
Yeah. Somebody who's going to play a lot as well. All right. Well, that does it for the draft. We got Luis Heel as the final pick. Good luck with your draft this season, Ryan. It's been a lot of fun streaming these 2 drafts with you. I'm going to have fun following our 2 leagues throughout the season, see who finishes higher in the RotoWire Online Championship. Any final words before we say goodbye to everybody?
No. Well, yeah, thanks for hanging out, and thanks to you, Eric, for streaming this with me. It's really appreciated, and good luck to you. We'll have to track these teams in the overall and see maybe a friendly non-monetary wager between us.
I'll winner buys drinks next time we meet up or something. We'll figure that out. Good luck this season with your Beat Ryan Roof team. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out.